Welcome to Cambridge Language Institute. In this video, I am going to talk about exercise chapter number 1, grade 9 biology. Short questions and as well as that long question. Question number 1 is how the understanding of physics can help the biologist. So, as we know that physics is the study of matter and energy and their mutual relationship is called physics, while biology is the combination of two Greek words. Bio means life and logi means study. The study of life is called biology. So the question is that how understanding of physics help in the biology. Simply, we know that biology is the study of living organism and physics is the study of matter and the laws of nature to understand the behavior of matter and the universe. Biophysics is interdisciplinary study. Interdisciplinary means that more than one subject is called interdisciplinary. Study of the understanding of biological phenomena. Biological phenomena mean biological methods and problems, like for example the problem related to human beings, microorganisms, animals, simply means that living organisms. Using the principles and techniques of physics, simply we can define biophysics. The using of principles and techniques of physics to solve biological problem is called biophysics. Biophysics is used in physiology, and as we know that physiology is called the study of function of different body parts is called physiology. Bioenergetics simply means the study of energy and living organism is called bioenergetics. Neurosciences mean the study of neurons. Pharmacology simply means the study of drugs. So we have to remember the answer of this question is that, for example, physics helps explain how birds use sound waves to navigate in the dark. The second example is how wings give insects the ability to move through the air. And the third one is that photosynthesis follows the law of physics during absorption of light. It is especially important questions, so we have to just remember only definition, and as well as just out of 3 we have to give one example. Question number 2 is which career would you like to adopt after studying biology and why? It's depend upon a student that he may choose a field of doctor, or we can say that animal sciences or maybe farming. It depend upon you, but you can generally answer that after studying biology I would like to adopt animal science, animal husbandry. It is a branch of biology which deals with the breeding. Breeding means like mating, and rising of livestock. Livestock means like domestic animal. Those animal which we keep at home is called domestic animal. Professional courses and this field are taught at many universities. I can also work for veterinary. Veterinary simply called that animals. Hospital, the pharmaceutical industry. Pharmaceutical industry means that industry which sells and make medicines. The livestock department mean like building, and the pet, like we can call that those animal which we keep at home. Food industry or research and livestock and dairy development to fulfill the food requirements. Question number 3 is write the translation of any 3 verses of the Holy Quran and relate it to the creation of mankind. So answer is Allah is creator of all things. As we know that Allah is the creator of all things and He is God and over all things. It's mean He manage all the things. Next one is, second example is He created men of clay like the potters. Verse number 3 is who made all things good which He created, and He began the creation of man from clay. Question number 4 is name few Muslim scientists and their contributions in the field of biology and medicines. So contribution means take part. So Muslim scientists and their contributions. Muslim scientists contribute a lot of knowledge to science of biology and medicine from 18th century to 15. It is also very important MCQs. You should remember that from 18th to 15th century, their views were high respected. Some of the famous Muslim scientists are, the first one is Jabir bin Hayyan, He was born in Iran and practiced medicine in Iraq. He introduced experimental chemistry and also wrote a number of books on plants and animals. Among these are al-nabatat. Nabatat simply we call plants, it's Arabic word, and al-hawan, it's Arabic word too, or simply we call that animals. So simply Jabir bin Hayyan wrote so many books, but his famous books are two. One is called Nabatat, which is called plant, and the second one is called al-hawan, which is called animal. So he wrote two famous books. One is an plant and one is an animal. Next one, we can talk about the next one, scientist Abdul Malik. And he was born in 740 and he was died in 821 AD. He was regarded as a specialist in animals sciences. It means he was expert in animal sciences, who wrote many books on animals and plants. One of his book is Al-Khil. Al-Khil is an Arabic word which means horse, and the second is called Al-Ebel. Ebel simply we call it Arabic word which is called camels, and the third one is called Shah, which is called sheep, and fourth one is called Al-Wahush, which is also called wild animals, and the fifth book Kitabul Khalaqul Insan, it's about humans. He had described different parts and function of human bodies. Next one is Boli Sina. He was born 980 and he was died 1037 AD. He was among the greatest Muslim scientists, and his most valuable contribution was in the field of medicines. He was an expert in mathematics, astronomy simply we call the study of universe, and physics, as we know, the study of matter and the study of matter and energy, and paleontology simply we called the study of fossil of past organisms. He worked on the structure, function, and diseases of the eye. He described 130 diseases of the eye in his book, and his book Al-Qanun fi Tibb was translated into many European languages. This is the most important MCQs that Boris Sina wrote. His famous book name is, so you may write that Al-Qanun fi Tibb. Scientist number 4 is Abu Osman Umar al-Jakhis, yani who wrote the famous book Al-Hawan. Hawan basically called that animal, which describe his own observation on animals such as the seasonal migration of fish and river tigers. Similarly, he described the life system of an ant. Next scientist is Al-Farabi. This renewed, simply called famous Hakim, like doctor and biologist, lived in 870 and 1950 he was died. He wrote two books, Kitab al-Nabatat, which is about plant, and Kitab al-Hawanat, which is about animal. Question number 5. What level of organization is represented by volvox? So colonial organization. What is colonial organization? Simply we know that volvox is a green alga. Green alga simply we call that green algae, where it is a common example of unicellular. Unicellular means those organisms which composed of a single cells. Colonial organism, it lives in water. It's simply called aquatic. 100 of volvox cells make a small volvox, and then small volvox colony. Many small colonies make a big colony. Most of the functions are performed by every cell. However, an individual volvox cannot live independently, as the cells of the colony are dependent on each other. For example, there are cells which are specialized for mobility. Mobility means like movement, while other cells are for reproductions. Therefore, the division is above the cellular level, and this is a trend toward the more complex division of labor and multicellular organisms. Now let's talk about that long questions. So how the understanding of biology can be improved through the knowledge of geography, chemistry, and statistics. Give examples. So linkage means like link of biology with other field of study. The function and metabolic pathways occurring in living organism follow the principles of other fields of study like physics, chemistry, geography, economics, etc. This type of linkage makes interdisciplinary, more than one subject sciences. Some of the interdisciplinary sciences are mentioned below. The first one is called biogeography. So as we know that bio mean life and geo mean earth and graphy mean description. So simply we can define that biogeography is the distribution. Distribution means taksim, like we can also call divide of organism and space and time. For example, in biogeography, we study why polar bears are found and only in a certain parts of the Arctic regions, why malaria causing mosquito flourish in damp and warm areas. Scientists also study spread of disease in animals, plants, and humans by finding the source of that disease to gain knowledge about the preservation of rare species with that may have special needs and to get informed about the changing geography of the world. For solving these problems, a scientist needs to identify the specific climates, foods, and geographic features that different organisms acquire. Biochemistry, simply we call bio mean life, and chemistry mean the study of matter. So simply we can define that biochemistry means the study of chemical reactions, and also that chemical compounds that occur in living organism is called biochemistry. Biochemistry is concerned with the chemical substances and processes that occur in organisms. It involves the structural analysis of the organic compounds that make up cells and of those that play key roles in chemical reactions of life, like for example photosynthesis and respiration, etc. Biostatistics or biometry. Biostatistics is the application of statistical and mathematical formulas in the study of biology. As we know that bio mean life and statistics means simply we call the study of data and formulas. So we can say that biostatistics is the application of statistical and mathematical formulas in the study of biology. It involves the design, analysis, and interpretation of research data. Nowadays, it is a necessary field because after solving the biological problems, results are usually presented statistical. Example: use of mean, median, and mood are a simple statistical formula used in a biostatistics. Question number 2: define biology. How can you describe your own body under different branches of biology? So answer is, biology is the branch of science which deals with the study of life. Simply we can define the word biology is derived from Greek two words. Bio means life and logos means to study. In 1736, a Swedish scientist, Carl Linnaeus, for the first time used the word biology. Zoology is the study of animals, example human beings and all living living beings. And zoology, I can study my body morphology, anatomy, histology, physiology, embryology, cell biology, immunology, genetics, biotechnology, and pharmacology. Biology has recently acquired new technological and conceptual tools to investigate, model, and understanding living organism at the system level under the field of biotechnology. The bodies of all living things are made of different parts organized in a certain manner that supports life functions. With this organization includes atoms, like simply we call level of organization. First we have that atoms, molecules, organelles, cells, tissue, organ system, organisms. My body is made of millions of cells. The cell is the structure and functional unit of the human body. When we study cells in a human body, it is called cell biology. Simply we call cytology, and as we know that cytology is simply called the study of a cell, and their organelle is called cytology. Next one is called, if I study the structure, form, and shape of my body, it is called morphology. So morphology is simply called the study of shape. Next one is the, if I study the internal structure of my body, like studying my digestive system or nervous system, this field of study relates to the field of anatomy. And as you know, the anatomy is simply because the internal structure of body part is called anatomy. When I studied the endocrine and nervous system of my body and how it function, it belongs to the field of physiology, and physiology means the study of function of different body parts, itself physiology. If I study the treatment of my trait mean character of my height or skin color, with this study belongs to the field of genetics. Genetics is one of the most important field. The study of gene is called basically genetics. We will have a we can say detailed class of this. Just only in this video I'm going to talk just generally to remember the answer of the questions which is related to exercise. If I am suffering from a fever and needs to know the reason behind it and how to recover from that disease, with this study relates to the field of immunology. Immunology simply called, we can say, the study of immune system. After having a disease, when I take medicine to recover from that disease, with this belongs to the field of pharmacology. Pharmacology simply we can say the scientific study of drug is called pharmacology. Next we have endless the various levels of biological organization. Explain it with an example. Like for example, we have levels of biological organizations. So millions of organisms are present on the earth. They are different from each other and range from simplest organism, example bacteria, to the most complex ones, example human beings. The bodies of all living things are made of different parts organized in a certain manner that supports life function. With this organization includes atoms, molecules, organelles, cells, tissues, organs, organ systems, organisms, etc. First of all, level number 1, subatomic particles and atoms. As we know that Atom is the smallest particle of matter, or we can also call atom is the smallest unit of matter, and an atom is further divided into many particles, but we can just talk about three particles. One is called electron, which has negative charge, proton, positive, and neutron. There is no charge on that. So we can talk about that the living and non-living matter is composed of simple units called atoms. Each atom is further composed of subatomic particles like electron, proton, neutrons. The bodies of organisms are made of 16 kind of elements. With these elements are called bioelements. Out of these bioelements, only 6 oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, and phosphorus make 99% of the protoplasm. Yes, if we can define the protoplasm, so we may say that without cell membrane of a cell is called protoplasm. Like for example, normally if we talk about that cell of animal, so we have that cell membrane, then we have cytoplasm, and then we have nucleus. So if we just without cell membrane, like for example, we can call only that cytoplasm plus nucleus is called protoplasm. While if you want to define that complete cell, so we can say cell membrane plus cytoplasm and nucleus is called cell. So if we talk about that, other 10% includes potassium, sulfur, chlorine, sodium, magnesium, iron, copper, manganese, zinc, and iodine collectively make 1% of the protoplasm. Level 2 molecules and compounds. The atoms combine through bonds and form molecules and compounds. Similarly, the atoms of bioelements combine to form biomolecules. Types of biomolecules. There are two types of biomolecules. Micromolecules. The biomolecules with low molecular weight are called micromolecules. Example: water, amino acid, glucose, etc. Macromolecules. The biomolecules with higher molecular weights are called macromolecules. Example: starch, protein, lipid, etc. Organelles. Different biomolecules combine together in a specific manner and form subcellular structure called organelles. Example: mitochondria, chloroplast, ribosome, etc. Each organelle performs a particular function. For example, mitochondria provide energy to the cells and ribosome prepare protein. And level number 4, cells. The cell is the basic structure and functional unit of an organism. It consists of many organelles such as Golgi bodies, mitochondria, lysosome, etc., which perform different specific function inside the cells. And unicellular organism or single cells make the whole body, while in multicellular organism there are more levels of biological organizations. Level number 5, tissues. And multicellular organisms, the cells which are similar in structure and perform similar function make groups. With such group of cells are called tissues. Examples: in plant tissue, mesophyll tissue is made of cells which perform photosynthesis. An animal, glandular tissue is made of cells which produce secretions. Level number 6, different tissue work together to perform a specific activity. Such a group of related tissues is called an organ. Example: the organ stomach is made of two major tissues. Its epithelial tissue secretes gastric juice for the digestion of proteins, while its muscular tissue contracts and grinds food. Level number 7, organ system. The organ in turn coordinate and constitute an organ system which performs a particular function. Example: blood circulatory system in animals. The blood circulatory system is composed of organs like the heart, arteries, veins, and capillaries. Next one we have level number 8, different organ system then collectively form a whole system, and in the case of main different organ systems such as blood circulatory system, respiratory system, digestive system, etc., work and coordination. Similarly, in plants, root and shoot system constitute plant body. Question number 4, explain the role of bioelements for living organisms. So bioelements, the living and non-living matter, is composed of simple units called atom. Each atom is further composed of subatomic particles, electron, proton, and neutrons. The bodies of organisms are made of 16 kind of elements. These elements are called bioelements. Primary we call that primary bioelements. The atoms with that make of all living things mostly consist of 6 different chemical elements: carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. These elements constitute more than 90 we call that 99% of the matter found in living things. They are called primary bioelements. Number 1 is carbon. So carbon is the main bioelement that constitute the biomolecules. It has the ability to assemble to form large carbon change through single, double, or triple bond, as well as a cyclic structure. The carbon atom is probably one of the most important bioelements since all biomolecules contain carbon. Hydrogen is one of the one of the components of the water molecule, which is essential for life and is part of the carbon skeleton of organic molecules. For example, fatty acid have more electrons than carbohydrates, so they have the ability to produce more energy when they degrade. Oxygen is the other element that makes up the water molecule. It is a very electronegative element that allows greater production of energy through aerobic respiration. Nitrogen is the element that is present in all amino acids. Through nitrogen, amino acids have the ability to form a peptide bond to produce proteins. This bioelement is also found in the nitrogenous basis of a nucleic acid, which is eliminated by the organisms in the form of urea. Sulfur is a bioelement that is an essential part of amino acid which form proteins. Two secondary bioelements. Other 10 includes potassium, sulfur, chlorine, sodium, magnesium, iron, copper, manganese, zinc, and iodine collectively make 1% of the protoplasm. These types of elements are also present in all living things, but not in the same quantities as the primary elements. They do not form biomolecules but are used in a cell concentration gradients. Dielectric signaling of neurons and neurotransmitters stabilize change biomolecules such as ATP and are parts of bone tissue. These bioelements are calcium, sodium, potassium, magnesium, chlorine, and the most abundant are sodium, potassium, and magnesium and calcium. Calcium is essential for living things because plants require calcium to build cell walls. It is an integral part of the human skeleton. Calcium affects muscles, neuromuscular excitability, along with potassium, sodium, and magnesium, irons, and participates in muscles contractions. Magnesium is a secondary bioelement that is part of biomolecules since it is a cofactor of chlorophyll. It is present in the skeleton 70% and the muscles of animals. Next we have that sodium. Sodium is an important extracellular cation. Participates in the homeostasis of the organisms. Potassium participates in the homeostasis of the organism and in the propagation of the nervous excitation by channels of potassium. Chlorine is present in the organism of living beings mainly as chloride ion. Trace element they are present in some living beings. Many of these trace elements act as a cofactor and the enzymes. The trace elements are boron, bromine, copper, fluorine, manganese, and silicon, iron, and iodine, etc. Who classify the living organisms into 5 kingdoms. Explain each kingdom with the living organism included in. So 5 kingdom system. Robert Whittaker in 1968. Sometime there is a confusion. It may we can write about that 1969 also, that classified all living organism into 5 kingdoms. This is known as 5 kingdom system of classification. These 5 kingdoms are kingdom prokaryotes, kingdom protista, fungi, planta, and mammalia. Kingdom prokaryotes we can also call kingdom monera. This kingdom includes all unicellular mean which composed of a single cell, and microscopic organism which we can see through only microscope. These organisms lack a membrane-bounded nucleus. It's simple you call nucleus is absent. Another organelle is inside their cells. Their cell wall is made of membrane. Example: bacteria, cyanobacteria. Kingdom protista. This kingdom include eukaryotic organism. Eukaryotic simply means that those which have proper nucleus. And next one we have which are usually small and having differences with the organisms of other eukaryotic kingdoms. They usually live in aquatic. Aquatic means simply because they live in water habitats. Example: algae, slime moths, protozoa, amoeba, and paramecium are some of the examples of this kingdom. Kingdom fungi include organisms which are all eukaryotic and multicellular. Eukaryotic simply means having a proper nucleus. Multicellular means which composed of many cells. Their cell wall is made of chitin and a polysaccharide. Poly means many and saccharide means sugar. They do not have chloroplast, so they cannot synthesize their own food and are therefore heterotrophic. Heterotrophic means they cannot prepare their own food. The food is stored inside the body in the form of glycogen. Some of the examples are mushroom, molds, and puff balls, yeast, etc. Kingdom planta. We call that this kingdom includes multicellulars and eukaryotic organisms which are autotrophic and nature. Autotrophic means those which can prepare their own food. Their cell wall is made of cellulose and mostly lack centrioles inside their cells. The food and the form of starch, example brassica, mulberry, peanuts, and ferns, etc. Kingdom Animalia. This kingdom includes multicellular and eukaryotic organisms which are heterotrophic in nature. These organisms lack the cell wall and the centrioles are present in the cells. The reserve food is in the form of glycogen with the membranes. The members of this kingdom can be split into two groups that are vertebrates and invertebrates. Example is animals include jellyfish, worms, insect, fish, reptiles, birds, mammals, etc. So that's end of the chapter number 1, short question and long questions. And next video I will also talk about that short questions and long question of chapter number 2, and as well as that 3, 4, 5 and go until if we see bio. That's end.